They weren't just stars, they were walking empires. While some actors faded with the spotlight, others turned fame into fortunes that would make today's billionaires jealous. They invested, negotiated, and built empires behind the scenes. And one of them? She died worth more than Disney's entire 1940s film slate combined. Elizabeth Taylor wasn't just a screen siren, she was a one-woman empire. The first actress to command a $1 million paycheck for a single film, Taylor shattered salary norms with Cleopatra and never looked back. But her real fortune came off screen. In the 1980s, she co-founded a perfume line featuring white diamonds, a scent that would gross over $1 billion in sales worldwide. Her personal jewelry collection, auctioned after her passing, brought in another jaw-dropping $116 million, making headlines around the globe. Taylor wasn't just cashing in on beauty, she was branding herself decades before influencers made it trendy. Her empire spanned films, endorsements, business ventures, in real estate across Beverly Hills and Europe. At the time of her death in 2011, her estate was worth an estimated $600 million, closer to $800 million today. A beauty, a businesswoman, and a billionaire brand before the word even existed. Charlie Chaplin wasn't just a comedic genius, he was one of the first entertainers to turn art into absolute power. Long before the term equity deal existed, Chaplin was negotiating million-dollar contracts and demanding ownership of his films. In 1918, he signed a contract worth $1 million, an amount unheard of at the time. But he didn't stop there. He co-founded United Artists to escape studio control, giving himself full creative and financial power. By keeping the rights to hits like The Kid, Modern Times, and The Great Dictator, Chaplin ensured he earned profits for decades. Off-screen, he invested in real estate, including a lavish Swiss estate where he spent his final years. At the time of his death in 1977, his net worth sat at $100 million. Adjusted for today, that's over $400 million. Chaplin didn't just act in revolutions, he built one and then banked it. Randolph Scott made his fortune the cowboy way, quiet, steady, and smart. Known for his rugged roles in westerns, Scott appeared in over 100 films, becoming one of the most bankable stars of the 1940s and 1950s. But behind the scenes, he was anything but reckless. He steered clear of long-term studio contracts, opting instead to work independently, negotiating higher payouts and profit shares along the way. Off-set, Scott built a real estate empire in Southern California, scooping up properties in Beverly Hills before the market exploded. He was also a savvy stock investor, building a diverse portfolio early on. Though never one to flaunt his wealth, Scott quietly amassed a fortune most stars only dreamed of. By the time of his death in 1987, his net worth was estimated at $100 million, equivalent to about $260 million today. He didn't just ride off into the sunset, he invested in it. Grace Kelly's story reads like a fairy tale, but behind the gowns and tiaras was a staggering fortune. Before she became Princess of Monaco, Kelly was already commanding top salaries in Hollywood, with hits like Rear Window and High Society. She even won an Oscar in 1954. But when she married Prince Rainier III in 1956, her wealth took a dramatic leap. Her family offered a $2 million dowry, about $20 million today, but that was just the beginning. As Princess of Monaco, Kelly gained access to royal assets tied to the Monte Carlo casino, luxury tourism, and tax-sheltered wealth. Her connection to the House of Grimaldi, one of Europe's oldest dynasties, placed her within a financial ecosystem worth hundreds of millions. Even after leaving Hollywood, she remained a fashion icon, with luxury brands like Hermes naming items after her. At her death, her personal wealth alone was estimated at $120 million. Cary Grant wasn't just Hollywood's suavest leading man, he was one of its shrewdest businessmen. While most actors locked themselves into long-term studio contracts, Grant went rogue, choosing to work independently and negotiate his own deals. That gave him control, not just over his roles, but his profits. He secured back-end deals and profit shares before it became industry standard. Off-screen, Grant lived with quiet precision. He avoided the lavish lifestyle so many of his peers fell into, instead pouring his earnings into blue-chip stocks, bonds, and real estate. He was notoriously frugal but never cheap, just calculating. Even his friendship and living arrangement with Randolph Scott in the 1930s resulted in joint investments that paid off big over time. By the time of his death in 1986, Grant's net worth was $60 million, around $130 million today. Charm may have made him famous, but discipline made him rich. Greta Garbo mastered the art of mystery and money. Known for her iconic roles and haunting screen presence, Garbo was one of the highest-paid actresses of the 1920s and 30s, earning up to $250,000 per film during the Great Depression. But what truly set her apart was what happened after the camera stopped rolling. At just 36, she retired from Hollywood entirely, then quietly built a financial empire. Garbo invested her earnings wisely in stocks, bonds, and Manhattan real estate, including a coveted East River apartment. She avoided the spotlight and the scandals, living frugally and refusing to chase relevance. When others were burning through fortunes, Garbo's kept growing. At her death in 1990, her estate was worth an estimated $55 million, around $120 million today. Most of it didn't come from acting. It came from restraint, strategy, and a lifelong commitment to keeping her fortune, like her persona, perfectly under wraps. Bing Crosby didn't just sing White Christmas, he practically owned it. With over 1,600 recorded songs and 70-plus films, Crosby was one of the most successful entertainers of the 20th century. But his fortune wasn't just built on melody, it was diversified like a Fortune 500 portfolio. He invested in oil wells, racehorses, real estate, and even cattle ranches. He owned stakes in the Pittsburgh Pirates and helped fund the development of magnetic tape recording in the U.S., forever changing the music industry. On screen, he was a holiday staple. Off screen, he was a financial tactician. At the time of his death in 1977, Crosby's estate was worth $50 million, about $200 million today. He left his fortune in blind trust for his children, delaying their inheritance until age 65, a testament to his long-game thinking. Bing Crosby didn't just top charts. He rewrote the financial playbook for entertainers. Bob Hope wasn't just the king of comedy, he was the silent king of California real estate. With a career that spanned nearly 80 years, Hope appeared in over 70 films, countless TV specials, and was a staple on radio. But behind the punchlines was a businessman with razor-sharp instincts. He quietly bought up massive swaths of land in Southern California, decades before it became prime real estate. His Palm Springs estate alone became a symbol of old-school Hollywood success. Hope also secured lifelong sponsorship deals and built a fortune through smart stock investments. By the time he passed in 2003 at the age of 100, his net worth had swelled to $150 million, roughly $235 million today. Despite his wealth, he was known for frugality and discipline, often joking about his own penny-pinching ways. Bob Hope didn't just entertain America. He bought a piece of it and passed it down. Mary Pickford wasn't just America's sweetheart. She was one of Hollywood's first true moguls. At a time when most actresses were locked out of power, Pickford negotiated contracts worth millions and took full control of her career. In 1919, she co-founded United Artists alongside Charlie Chaplin and Douglas Fairbanks, giving her profit participation in creative freedom, an unheard-of move back then. She became the first actress to earn $1 million annually and was among the earliest to demand back-end profits. Off-screen, she invested in land, cosmetics ventures, and co-owned the famous Pickford estate with Fairbanks, which became the social hub of Golden Age Hollywood. At the peak of her wealth, Pickford's fortune exceeded $40 million, equivalent to over $800 million today. Though her estate diminished due to philanthropy and shifting markets, her legacy as a pioneer of film and finance remained unshaken. She didn't just star in films, she rewrote the industry's rules. Dina Merrill may have had a career in Hollywood, but her fortune was born long before the cameras rolled. Born into two titanic family empires, Post Cereals and the E.F. Hutton brokerage, Merrill inherited a financial legacy worth billions. Her mother, Marjorie Merriweather Post, was once the richest woman in America, and Dinah was the heiress to a $250 million estate, equivalent to around $5 billion today. Though she appeared in over 100 films and TV shows, Merrill never needed a paycheck. Her acting was passion, not survival. She served on the boards of major cultural institutions, like the Kennedy Center, and was deeply involved in philanthropy. By the time of her death in 2017, Merrill's personal net worth was estimated at $5.6 billion, making her wealth eclipse nearly every star of her era. In a town obsessed with fame, Dina Merrill proved that sometimes real power is inherited, not auditioned for. Old Hollywood wasn't just a dream factory, it was a launchpad for empires. While some stars chased fame, these legends chased freedom, ownership, and legacy. Their fortunes didn't just come from the spotlight, but from knowing when to step away, invest wisely, and build something that outlived the applause.